Today's episode of the 404 Show is brought to you by Acronis. That's right. I mispronounced them last time. It's Acronis. Your files, photos, and documents are probably worth more to you than your computer, right? Do you even have a backup plan to protect those sensitive files? I bet you don't. That's why Acronis is honoring World Backup Day. It's March 31st, and they're offering a bonus license of the award-winning Acronis True Image Backup Solution with any purchase you make. So visit trueimage.com/404show and learn more about the deal. That's Acronis, and I hope I'm saying it right this time. Thanks to Acronis for sponsoring the show. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm excited. 404 Show time. What is it? You got March 18th. You got Russ Frushtick. You got Justin Yu back here. I'm excited.
Okay, clearly it sounds like it.
No, I've never seen you this enthusiastic.
I had
before.
6 cups of coffee this morning.
Yeah.
Looks like it.
I'm all over the place. I'm running up the walls, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me again. Is this two? No, there was 1 week that I didn't come here. It was 2 weeks ago that I was here.
No,
that was last week.
Last week you were here.
What's that about?
Man, since Peony has been away, it's all been a blur. The timelines have all been merging together. I don't know what date it is, what time it is.
So what week is this that you're by yourself? Week 6?
God, this is week 6 or 7. Yeah,
It's
I feel
like The Martian.
Castaway.
Yeah, week 6.
Are you growing potatoes in your living room?
Yeah, bread actually. I've been baking bread.
Week 6. I lost another cat.
Funny story, actually. When I was on the show last week, apparently, Peony calls me up the next day and was like, I heard you on the podcast. And it was weird because one of her friends' friends, who is a fan of this show, heard that episode and realized when I was talking about Peony that I was talking about her.
Oh, weird.
His friend's friend that they had met maybe a few days prior, and actually came up to her and asked her, like, is your boyfriend this guy Justin? But that guy didn't know that I had previously been on the podcast. So imagine listening to a podcast that you have no affiliation with.
So he started listening
after I left.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this person is talking about somebody you know.
That's weird.
Kind of crazy. So shout out to that guy. I have no idea what his name is, but Chuck's friend. What's up?
You have a lot of situations like that. It happens to you. It doesn't happen to me. It doesn't happen to Russ. You're the guy that has these things happen to you.
What,
where you're
just
like,
people coming up?
I was walking down the street and this guy on a bike, he dropped his keys in front of me and I picked him up and I gave it to him and he goes, are you Justin Yu from the 404? And I was like, yeah. He's like, hold on. And he goes into his back pocket. He's got a picture of your mom. And he's like, I went to high school with your mom. And you're like, what?
It happened.
And that happens to you.
So weird. I was playing Call of Duty about a week ago with some guys that friend of a friend, but gamer friends, randoms, total randoms. And they're like, are you Russ from Polygon? And first of all, I never gave them my first name.
That's
never
weird.
gave all they had was my gamer tag, which sort of implies Russ, but whatever. And it was a weird moment. And I've had a few on the street things, but it is. I like it. It's nice, but it's strange. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, I just don't want to get kidnapped.
Yeah, because you're really valuable. The ransom alone would be at least $10 or $20.
No, I don't think the reason for kidnapping Jeff would be to get ransom
Sex?
money. I think it would just be to torture.
Oh.
Just to torture me.
Okay, I went right to sex.
Yeah.
Torture, sure.
And then Justin's face was like, oh God, this is how my face pukes.
Yeah. Just hearing you guys talk
Do
about
people
sex tortures.
torture? I guess that happens. There was that movie, The Room, which I guess is the equivalent of torture. But it seems just to kidnap someone to torture them and not have a monetary end goal seems very self-centered.
I think that
sadistic too.
That
Sadistic.
just defines true mania.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's when you're building a separate place underneath your house. Speaking of which, I saw
shit's too real
Cloverfield the
now.
other day.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, did you guys watch that 10 Cloverfield
Wait, no,
Lane?
I didn't see the movie. I really want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay,
so the concept,
spoiler-free
Spoiler-free,
review?
totally. I mean, it's a brand new movie, so...
Okay.
It was really good, so I'll start
We
off
talked
by
about
saying
how
that.
much I liked the original Cloverfield, and
Right.
Jeff gave me a lot of shit for it.
Because it's not a good movie.
Yes.
It's not a good movie, but the concept was kind of interesting. I think as New Yorkers, people didn't like it because they got from like 96th Street down to
Whatever.
Prince in like 2 seconds underneath.
What
the
I didn't
subway.
like about it is that they didn't leave.
Yeah, they didn't
weren't just
leave.
like-
They
They didn't
tried
go
to leave, and
Brooklyn.
then the tail broke in the middle of the Brooklyn Bridge, and they couldn't leave.
I would swim across the Hudson. I don't understand.
You'd swim across the Hudson.
If Cloverfield Monster was ripping up Chelsea,
Yeah, but he's so big. What are
That's
the
how much
odds that
people
he's
hate
going to
that
hit
place.
you?
I guess, but it's not like I'm gonna sit here and wait it out because I know right away, like, oh man, Air Force is gonna come and bomb the shit out of Manhattan. I better get out of here.
They don't know. It's not like they're broadcasting on Q1043 that they're going to bomb. Anyway.
Anyway, so 10 Cloverfield Lane
John Goodman.
is pretty interesting. Yeah, so the story, I guess if people haven't watched the trailer, is that it is technically a sequel to Cloverfield.
Right, and I don't want. And if you do want
But-
to have a spoil, like if you don't
It's
want to hear
spoiler-
anything,
yeah, I won't,
Yeah.
I won't
maybe
spoil it
skip
at
like
all.
5 minutes ahead here. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say anything that wasn't in the trailer.
Okay.
But yeah, the concept's interesting because it's kind of this new style of storytelling that we've seen in like Fear of the Walking Dead, where the story exists in the same universe
Right.
as the first movie, but it sort of talks about a different set of people
Point of
that
view.
it happens to.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a story within a story because then you have John Goodman. You can see this in the trailer. The story is that a girl wakes up and she's told by this guy that she was in a car crash and she is underneath this guy's house in sort of a safe house type
Yeah.
thing
It's
that
like
he
a
built
fallout
as a
shelter.
doomsday prepper. Yeah. And he says that something crazy has happened above ground and that she can't escape this hatch, this basement. And the story kind of goes from there, and she figures out whether or not this guy, John Goodman, is actually creepy and is trying to do weird things, or if something bad actually happened and
So
she shouldn't go outside.
you enjoyed it.
So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been getting great reviews,
Yeah,
and,
it
and I
has.
totally agree with them.
It's been
very compelling.
I know people have said it's like very Hitchcockian in that way,
Great.
like
Great.
super, psychological and
Yeah.
like who do you trust? I guess I saw Ex Machina and I got that vibe from Ex Machina, so I guess sort of in a similar vein of that.
Yeah. John Goodman plays such a good creepy guy.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I love him to death. I don't know about Ex Machina. Ex Machina,
You don't like that movie?
I did, but I knew. Come on, you knew right away. Oscar Isaac was like bad news.
But that was not the mystery of that
I know,
movie.
but he was still bad.
There was certainly a moment in that movie, again, spoilers if you haven't seen Ex Machina, where like the main guy doesn't know, Domhnall Gleeson doesn't know
Yeah.
if he's right.
right. Or
You're-
sure.
whatever
that was,
it is.
That was fun.
There's like a lot of
You saw
cool
Until they
that?
start dancing. Yeah,
You
that
saw
was
that.
the greatest scene in the movie.
It's
Great
pretty
movie.
good. It's pretty good
Shot
stuff.
in Iceland, beautiful.
But yeah, go watch 10 Cloverfield Lane. Even if you didn't like the first one, or in fact, if you didn't watch the first one, you could
Doesn't
still.
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You could still watch it.
Is John Goodman just the Cloverfield monster in a big suit?
Hey, he's
Yeah,
lost
a
a lot
tentacle
of weight.
slips out
He looks
halfway through.
great. He looks great.
He does.
He's lost a lot of weight.
I
Yeah.
love John Goodman.
I'm looking forward to in a few weeks. Maybe we can come back and just talk about what you think happens in the movie.
Okay.
There's some interesting stuff.
Well, here was my thing. The only thing I found fascinating about the original Cloverfield was all of the supposed Easter eggs that that hinted at what the
Oh.
hell exactly was
Like
this
the
thing.
weird Japanese company.
Yeah,
that
like
was tied to it.
Slusho and
Slusho,
stuff like
right.
that. There's Easter eggs that tie over, I think, in a lot of J.J. Abrams stuff.
There's stuff where like there's splashes in the water and some
Yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
footage,
Yep.
and you're like, was that? I want to know. Show me. Give me that. Like, give me
So,
some of that.
Without spoiling it again, those pop up in this movie
Okay,
too.
cool.
So yeah, it's something to pay
I don't know how
attention
you would
to.
care if you didn't like the first movie. Why you would care about this stuff?
Because I'm more intrigued about like. I just
The
don't.
mythology?
Yeah, I want to know the mythology. of
Okay,
it.
but
Like,
you don't like the characters. You didn't like the
No,
characters.
I thought that was a very stupid movie, but I want to know like.
Well, people didn't
how'd
like the
this get here.
Yeah, people didn't like the first movie. I think because of the way it was shot too. It was
Yeah,
all
that-
handy
it was
cam,
almost
Blair
like a
Witch
vomit,
style, so
yeah.
it's getting people kind of nauseous in the theater.
Which is
that's not the case here.
Right.
It's justifiable. That movie is almost designed to make you sick. I feel
Right.
like but to me, yeah, like I said, to me the most intriguing stuff is what is this?
Yeah.
Why did this happen?
Yeah.
How's all this footage connected?
Yeah.
Who found the footage? Like did they ever explain that in Blair Witch? They don't. They just say like this was recovered.
Yeah.
That's why like I don't think Blair Witch is amazing either, but I think the idea
Yeah, the idea of
Yeah.
it was
Is
very original when it
really
came out.
good.
Yeah, the Cloverfield was the same thing. I think they're sort of hinting at the fact that man might have created that monster because
Right.
they showed some toxic sewage and things like that. So,
I
Kind
don't-
of like
I
what
mean, it's
Godzilla
not-
was, the new Godzilla,
yeah,
right?
right.
That was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. All right. I like this because it leads really perfectly into some of the more weird stuff, and that's like the theme of today's show.
Okay.
It's just like weird stuff that we just don't know what it is. We've talked about stuff like that before. Like, remember that story where like the disc a guy found on a park bench and he like popped it in and there was like a whole, like weird video, this cryptic video.
And it was a marketing stunt?
No, it wasn't anything. It was just like some artist. It wound up being like an artist. Right?
Yeah.
And it went on forever and ever and ever. And now Justin, he comes up to me today and he's like, dude, she's like, we have to talk about this today. And I just glanced at it. It's called Julie Rubicon.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hand it over to you, man. Blow our minds. What is this?
Well, this link got sent into my inbox on Tuesday, and it was a link to a Facebook post that was just labeled Julie Rubicon. And in the subsequent days after I read it, I kind of figured that this story would blow up because it's such an interesting tale. And I've been Googling it over the past few days, just this week, and no one's really talked about it. So I thought that, after Jeff invited me on this morning, that I would bring it up because I want to know what you guys think about it and whether or not this story is true. So on Tuesday, I got this link, right? And this Facebook post is from a guy named Robin Sloan.
Who'd you get the link from?
A friend.
Okay.
A source, right? Okay. I got it. A couple other people got it as well. I think Jason Kotke also got it. This guy, Robin Sloan, the author, he tells a really interesting story that goes deep into how much Facebook knows about the world, right? Think about all the information and the data they're pulling in from our personal lives, how much we volunteer. And it's no surprise that, Facebook can obviously take this stuff and offer insights into the world, right? Commenting on events or, figuring out stuff that has happened, analyzing things, and maybe even potentially predicting the future. And that's what this story is
Predicting
about.
Trends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Robin Sloan worked for this advertising team in Menlo Park, and he worked specifically within the partner intelligence group at Facebook, codenamed PIG. And that offers large advertising clients the ability to see, how much their brand has impacted the world and how much people are talking about them.
Sure.
And so obviously big advertising companies will pay a lot of money to get these insights. And you're basically looking at what Robin describes as a view of 1 billion users from like 30,000 feet.
Okay.
So using Pig, you can type in all kinds of queries for stuff you want to know about the trends, right? Like, how are the Adidas Yeezys doing this year this month? It's a sneaker, right?
From Kanye.
Right, Kanye's sneaker or anything, right? You could put in CNET or anything. So around April of last year, Robin says that he was entering search terms for a children's footwear brand into Pig. Right, and Pig brought up all kinds of graphs and stuff for data spikes and popularity. And when he was looking at it, as he was typing in the information for this children's footwear brand, he accidentally forgot to enter the end date for when he wanted to see the graph.
Oh no!
Right, and so that was a mistake. And when the graph got brought up after that, it was left open-ended. And it actually showed that the graph ended in October of 2016 when he scrolled all the way to the right. So obviously that's in the future. So what the hell, right? And
wait. So it kept going.
So the graph kept going. This was in April of 2015. So it showed more than a year into the future of trends.
And variation, not just
a straight graph. And the most compelling...
pretty consistent. I'm looking at the photos
fairly
now.
Consistent.
Pretty consistent. So it could just be like predictive.
Until June 1st. That you could see that if you scroll to the right on this graph, June 1st shows a big spike. June 1st of 2015, which was at the time 3 months into the future. So this children's footwear brand called Vernix, right? Nothing happens with the brand. Then 3 months later, on June 1st, 2015, the exact date, Vernix announced that it was being bought out by Nike.
No.
So after that happened, obviously the conversation spiked like crazy.
All right, so let's pause for a second. Mm-hmm. So what that story implies, is that Facebook Pig predicted the acquisition.
Predicted the acquisition. Who knows? Based on stock market speculation, right? Like how do people pick stocks and how much to sell?
We should
sort of
know,
the same thing.
like it's not like a little
it's not
dip.
Science.
Well, but it's not like a little spike. It's like a 10x, huge spike.
Right.
If from this graph, it's a roughly a 4x spike.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're looking at I guess assuming that this guy obviously this all came out after the fact because there's no way you would publish it before the fact because why would you?
Right. Facebook would close it down immediately.
Right. But again, we're like sort of assuming that this guy didn't just hoax the hell out of this.
Right. Okay. So there's more to this story, though.
Yeah, keep going. This is fun.
After he realizes this, when June 1st comes around and they got bought out by Nike, he had a big whoa moment, right? What to do with this much power? So he decided to enter in other queries to see if this tool is indeed accurate. And he did the same thing to predict the NBA Finals for last year.
Now that's okay.
That's a huge potential revenue stream,
Obviously,
right?
yeah.
You know, we're talking about Back to the Future style predictions. And it didn't predict the winner. It did predict the winner, but not just that. It actually showed the exact score and how much the players were succeeding in that game. So it showed that the Warriors won. Then
this is where I stop believing.
Hold on. After that, stay with me here. After that, he decided to really extend his reach for this tool, and him and a coworker, Julie Rubicon.
Wait, is that a real name?
That is a real name, supposedly. They decided to start making money by buying and selling stocks of companies using these graphs and search terms as predictors of the future. And he says that they made $1,000 first betting on a spike for a company called Volkswagen.
I've heard of that.
In September of last year. And so they saw a huge spike then, and prior to that had no idea what it was for.
Well, but here's another question. So Volkswagen was the ones that got caught for their emissions thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So was there a dip?
That's what we're talking about. So they saw a huge spike in September of last year for Volkswagen.
But that's not a
and they
financial
decided to
spike.
short sell the stock based on that.
It.
See, the problem with these graphs is that it only shows that there are conversations being had around these topics, not necessarily whether it's good or bad.
Right.
So when you're playing the stocks based on this information, you got to say, well, is it good or bad that Volkswagen
you have to make a
getting talked about?
And chances are Volkswagen, like most car companies, are not going to have that much of a spike unless something really bad happens.
Actually,
unless it's like Tesla or something.
Right. You're right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
You would think any sort of massive publicity would be rooted in something defunctory or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they ended up being right, and they netted $1,000 each betting
so
against
they shorted Volkswagen stock.
Shorting that stock.
I know about
September.
this now because I watched The Big Short last week, and I know the entire stock market now. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so that was a big success for them. But after that, it wasn't 100%. They started betting on other stuff. They actually lost money as quickly as they made it. So because of that reason, that it could be negative or positive news, it's not absolute. And they ended up losing a little bit of money. But the real compelling part of the story, and I don't want to give it away because I think you should go and read it yourself. I'm not really doing the story justice by explaining it here. But the long and short of the end of it, without giving anything away, is that they decided to put their own names into this tool. Right? They put Robin Sloan and they put Julie Rubicon into the tool. Robin Sloan, nothing, right? 0 spikes.
Okay.
But when they entered in Julie Rubicon, it showed a big spike in March of 2016.
When the story breaks. On Tuesday, March, what was it, like 13th or something. So this is great fiction.
And so the real thing about this is that conversation spikes, according to this tool, when championships are decided, right, through basketball games, or it could be companies collapse, or it could be when people die, right? It's like big celebrities,
right?
But
when
why
they die,
would Julie Rubicon?
But Julie Rubicon wasn't a celebrity
until now.
So I don't want to ruin the ending for you, but if you want to know what happened to Julie Rubicon and what that tool did, and why he published this on the exact date that the spike happened about Julie Rubicon, you should go and read it. And maybe you guys can tweet out the link to it or put it in the show notes. But it's pretty crazy. And I'm pretty sure that this story isn't true, obviously. This guy, Robin Sloan, after doing a little bit of research, has published a few books that are fiction.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to assume that this guy just took a very interesting topic and wrote a good story about it.
Yeah, and that's how I think you have to look at it. I think you have to look at this.
I wouldn't have picked Julie Rubicon as the name of your fake person. I would have picked something a little more generic than that if you wanted to be able... Like, that sounds ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's trying to hide it too much.
I just think, like, this is a great work of fiction.
It's really good.
Definitely. I think it should be built out into a large story and maybe even a movie. But
I wish CNET fiction was this first one.
it's also not completely implausible that a tool, maybe not officially developed by the company, but a rogue project by an engineer or something, could be rigged up to do this exact thing.
It definitely plays on like the idea of like Big Brothery.
It's a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, exactly.
It's like real. It's really cool. I like the idea a lot.
This is great.
Yeah, that's kind of what we talk about all the time with Twitter. How it's it could be looked at as the collective unconscious of society, or I guess their users. And I'm interested to see what other kind of stuff that maybe people could pull out of it.
Yeah. There was that show that was the prequel to Battlestar Galactica that wasn't very good. Caprica, it was called, and it came out right after Battlestar Galactica came out. And they talked about essentially reviving people's consciousnesses through their social media impact.
Mm-hmm.
So someone dies, you could essentially resurrect them in a robot body, in this case, using all of the data that they've put online. And that's enough to essentially get you pretty damn close. So, I mean, all this stuff is very cool. This actually reminds me of, I think, Reddit's, what is it, No Sleep? The subreddit for
I
No
read
Sleep,
No Sleep,
where it's written and you're like half thinking, like, is this a real story? And like all that stuff. So
all of No Sleep is definitively fiction.
yes, you're right. But like a lot of it, at least that I've seen, has been written with
like true accounts.
Accounts of crazy stuff that happened to these people.
I think it's totally in the vein of Black Mirror stuff. I think that is because I think we're kind of due for like the next renaissance of not paranoia fiction, but like maybe it's almost like the Red Scare stuff, like in the when was the McCarthyism?
Yeah, 50s.
Right. I feel like we're approaching that next. And I hate to call it a renaissance because a renaissance implies like a glory sort of thing. But like, I think we're due for that sort of stuff when it comes to internet stuff. And I think this story only works because of the projections of, that Facebook has.
Yeah, right. You're like 90% there in terms of believing it because it's like, this is stuff
like,
you've been hearing about. Oh, of course they're reading all our messages. Right. Oh, of course they have all this data. And they'd use it to make money. Right,
definitely. It's all supported by like those moments, those true life aha moments you have. Like when you discover Google history. Like the first time I discovered Google location history and I was like looking like where I flew that day and where I traveled and like I went back to the day Dylan was born and we like relived step by step what happened because we went back and forth to the hospital that day and I was at work and I came back and like just watch it wherever you go. Yeah. It is very easy to create a narrative around your location. And it's very bizarre. I've been like sort of marinating an idea in my head for a little while of like seeing my kid when he's 30 or like when I'm gone, right? Yeah. And he then is like, for whatever reason, all of our generation's history is released online. And like you just have generations of kids who are like able to search dad's search history.
Uh-oh.
Right? Like think about stuff like that. But like that's dark, but think about that, right? Like think about you becoming your children becoming of age and like for whatever reason all that's out.
Well, because
there's no rash like especially right now what's going on with the iPhone stuff and the FBI like there's no reason to believe anything we ever did online up until now is safe forever.
Sure.
Especially if you have a Gmail account.
Right.
So I think like, that's a crazy future. And like, it won't matter because we'll all be dead. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and everyone's information will be out there too, so it'll be kind of an equalizer.
Which kind of like makes me believe I kind of lifted this idea from this comic I read about the cloud bursting. And how like everyone has to wear masks to camouflage their true identity.
Yeah.
But yeah, like imagine your kid when he's in it or whoever, whatever, and like says, "Oh man, Dad was into some dark stuff."
But it's also weird because our kids will be they'll look at us and our like internet history, and we'll be the last generation that has the weird 10-year gap where nothing happened at the beginning.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, we are going to be, like, their generation. Not 10. Whatever.
15, 20. Yeah.
Sure, 15, 20. So, their generation, from the minute they're born to the minute they die, will be recorded online.
Right.
But we have the last, like, little gap.
Weird. Let's call that something. We've seen both sides. Right. So, we're like, we straddle that line.
The nexus.
whatever it is. I feel like right now is like the middle point too.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'll be 34 in a week, right? So that the first 17 years of my life was kind of offline.
Yeah.
And now the last 17 AD, if you will, is
AI.
No, we don't want that. But yeah, like that's freaking nutty.
Yeah.
It's
Am I
weird.
getting too heady?
Oh man.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think I need to delete my browser history.
But it's already there.
Right.
Yeah.
All that stuff has been done.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about, going back to that FBI Apple story too, is I feel like everyone is open to the idea of a future like that, and they don't see it as dystopic because it's that whole argument about, well, I don't have anything to hide.
Oh, that is the
But
worst.
that is a
attitude
bad
to have.
argument to have. Yet I don't remember why, though. I think every time I think about why I don't want my private information out there and how I really don't have anything to hide. That's just a singular case, though, right? I mean,
Yes, it's a singular case where you're not a terrorist.
right. Or it's assuming that in the future I really won't have anything to hide.
No, so if you can look at it one-dimensionally,
Yeah.
right, and say, I'm not a terrorist, I have no criminal ambitions or history,
Right.
but I've searched some pretty effed up stuff on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, privacy isn't just for stuff that you would be embarrassed to see leaked out. There's a reason why we have doors on bathrooms and stuff.
Yeah.
You want your dignity as
There's
well.
locks on your doors, there's and the last bastion of freedom we may have is within our own brain. And and that's like
Or the dark web.
Russ's eyes just blew up. What was that? Trouble you?
Did you guys hotbox this room before we started recording?
You thought that was just like a skunk loose in here? Is that what?
No, I mean, you're right. Like, that's the idea, is that it's the last place that it's like, quote, safe. And then we start getting into 1984 territory with thought crime, et cetera, et cetera.
Precogs.
Pre-crime.
It's effed up. Pre-crime. That's what this Julie Rubicon story is, essentially
absolutely.
pre-crime. It's cool stuff. I like it.
I think it's funny because like a lot of people, just to bring it down to reality for a second here, and don't worry, we'll take off again in a second. But I think like the biggest thing that a thing like Twitter, like all the adversity Twitter has been facing in the last 10 months because of its inability to really become the mega blockbuster, revenue generating Silicon Valley darling, is based around the fact that like, oh, well, they have so much data on the world. They should be able to sell that data and turn a profit just based on like how valuable data is at its core.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of not what's happening.
Well, and it's also difficult because since their user base is not growing, they're not seen as like an updated resource for like where the world is at. So if the users are elsewhere, especially younger users, which is the case, you're not getting what advertisers want, which is what are younger users into right now. So not as valuable, and they're not gaining users. So that's the issue they're running into.
Oh man, it's weird. I don't know. I was at the doctor the other day and I'm like, man, is there gonna like doctors make mistakes, right?
Oh, yes,
they
frequently.
make mistakes a lot, and I wonder if there will be a time where we're just like, do you believe doctors used to be human beings? Like, do you believe like we left our lives in the hands of actual, human beings, like imperfect people?
Yeah.
People who did not always know the right answer.
Yeah, or that changed their minds.
Yeah, we left it to chance. Here's a phrase you won't hear in 100 years: second opinion.
Oh my!
Right?
Yeah,
unless you don't trust the Apple OS opinion and you want the Windows OS doctor opinion.
But it's the best. It's the most up to date version we have.
Or you would have an
It is
aggregate
perfect.
opinion of a bunch of robots.
Right.
You'd have like a Yelp review of a specific doctor and their percentage of accuracy based on whatever.
It's just
right.
I don't know. It's really Black Mirror.
Yep.
That's what it is. All right. Should we skip ahead a little bit?
Let's
do
do
you
it.
want to take a shower? You want to take a cold shower to shock the system?
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit. I want to talk about VR.
Oh yeah.
Because that has nothing to do with our completely dystopian future.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So VR is real in 2016.
Yes.
It's actually here. All the experiences I've had, I'm just kind of lukewarm about.
Really?
You
haven't had like a mind blowing.
Yeah.
This is crazy VR experience.
Maybe
Everyone's
the
had that,
Oculus
right?
Touch
Yeah, the
stuff.
first time.
That's what I'm saying. The first time.
Have you
sure.
used the Vive?
I haven't used the Vive. I've tried the Rift, but I was blown away by it. I mean, that first experience is always the same.
You should use the Vive. We have.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna play right after this.
All right,
we
maybe
record
I'll film you to make you look awful.
That's the one
Sounds
with
good.
like the controllers
Yeah.
that you hold? Okay.
So you haven't used any of
I haven't used that at all, no. Or
So-
the PlayStation.
the PlayStation VR pricing and availability information was released this week, and it's going to go for $400.
right.
It's obviously an add-on. You need a PS4, and then you're also going to need a camera that is not included in that bundle.
Right. And controllers. I would say, to make things easy for people to understand, it's going to cost you $500, which is what they just announced a bundle, which essentially comes with everything you could possibly need apart from your PS4. So effectively, the PSVR costs $500.
Right, but that assumes you have a PS4.
Right, but the Oculus assumes you have a computer, as does the Vive.
Right, which
A gaming computer, no less, not like
Yeah, you
a
need a
regular
serious-
old work computer.
definitely serious graphics card is
Right.
required for those two things. So I don't know. I just think and I want to get your take because I know you're not really into any of the gaming sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But you understand the three options, right?
Totally,
like you
yeah.
understand what's there. What to you? What feels like the most accessible thing? Like what do you
Cardboard.
It's true.
I mean, yeah, that's probably the most accessible. But for me as a non-gamer, there's still a lot of stuff to get excited about with virtual reality. I was looking at this app. I forget what it was. Oh, it was called Public Speaking for Cardboard.
Okay.
And you could download it for your Google Cardboard or whatever, Google Glass. And it basically shows you a room full of people
That's amazing.
That, it's basically a virtual room that lets you practice speaking in front of a group.
And you could have like
the
a
audience
virtual...
members actually try to do things to distract you,
Heckle?
like they would
that's-
in a normal situation. Maybe not heckle,
Cough.
but they'll cough.
Yeah.
They'll get up and walk around
That's
the
really
room
funny.
or go to the bathroom and stuff like that. And that's kind of cool because it has nothing to do with gaming, although it is kind of a gamey type environment.
Well, I think
Crazy,
that's what
yeah.
people are realizing.
Stuff like that's great, and I would actually use that because I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm going to a wedding next month.
Well, we know about the bachelor
And
party.
The bachelor party, right? I told you about that. But I'm also officiating my friend's
Oh, you
wedding.
are?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, that's terrifying. And if I could actually do this to maybe simulate a thing, and then potentially in the future, even who knows, like overlay faces on top of that audience, so
Or
you can
like
tell
put
exactly
your
who's
notes
going to be there
in the world.
Yeah.
So you actually have to glance down at your notes
Totally.
and stuff like that. Super cool.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that people don't. I think the other applications, the non-gaming applications, are what people don't really understand yet.
And you can't-
to me, that's the coolest stuff.
And you can't really wrap your head around it in the same way that like when the internet came out, I was like, why don't I just call people on the phone?
Yeah, yeah.
Like in this case, why don't I just like get a few friends around and stand in front of like a crowd? But you can't. Like I think it's so early, and people are just really starting to dig into like the possibilities.
Yeah.
You can't even I can't even imagine like where like I would never think of that. And
Right.
It's a great idea.
I mean, even something as basic as sitting in a movie theater and having whatever video you play on your
Right.
device show up as like a giant,
super
screen.
giant, or like you have
That's
a
so
fear
basic,
of
but it's
flying,
simple.
and you could like be in a plane and do like fear of flying adjustment, whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of really cool applications for that.
The thing that's cool about VR is like, it's one thing to think about the sci-fi
Yeah.
stuff, but for me, the coolest thing is like understanding that like VR only works when it convincingly tricks your brain.
Yeah.
And there's like a few parameters that have to be met
Yeah.
for that to work.
Sure.
And I just love the fact that like that's all VR is brain trickery.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
All it is like putting a screen on your face with enough of a peripheral
Yeah.
sort of vision and the latency low enough that your body believes that your head moving and the image moving in sync with that is close enough to how it is in reality.
Right.
Well, for people that haven't tried out the stuff, which one do you think does it the best? Or do they all do it really well?
I think the best technical demonstration out there is Vive.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
I think because Vive out of the box does the spatial stuff, where like Oculus is at its start is only a head tracker.
I think Move does do spatial stuff as well.
It does, but it's also based off what is arguably an inferior technology.
Right. So that's the issue. It's like functionally, you wouldn't be able to run Oculus on like a $400, $300 PC. It wouldn't be powerful enough. And that's effectively what they're doing with the PS4. And not only that, you have to run on the PS4, you have to run games at 90 frames a second. And so the end result is that the graphics, you're not going to get realistic graphics on PlayStation VR. You'll get like PS3, maybe.
Yeah, I
even
think
PS2
people need to be
quality
prepared
graphics.
for the sort of the de-resing that's going to happen.
And there is a way around that. Like I played a really good Battlezone demo for PlayStation VR that like used heavily stylized graphics, kind of like Nintendo, very colorful, very like emblematic of like a stylized look. And so those work great. But if you're looking like to be fooled into thinking you're in reality, I think you're going to have to look at Oculus or Vive for something.
And even
like
that stuff for me,
yeah,
like,
it's still a ways off.
I have issues, like, again, and I don't know if I talked about it on this show or Beastcast or whatever the hell I talked about it, but I think like for me, the VR, sort of like birth that we're experiencing right now, for me, I feel like it's so cool because I know it's going to be in like 10 years. Whereas like when we first got on the internet, it was like, oh, I get this could be faster. Like you didn't contemplate that.
Yeah.
Like when you first got online, you weren't like, oh man, 15 years from now when there's like 3D video on the internet and 1080p, it's going to be great. You didn't know.
Right.
But now the starting point at which VR is at, you can easily tell like, oh wait, the headset's going to be way better. 10 years from now.
Yeah.
The peripherals are going to be way better. Right now there's like this John Malkovich like portal thing where you can kind of see like the horizon. Do you know what I mean? Like and that will get better. The viewing angle will get better. The headset gets better, and the resolution for me, which is a huge thing.
Oh yeah.
When that's like 8K in your eye,
it's going to be like swim goggles. It's going to be tiny.
Yeah, but I'm saying for now it is.
Like in the future, it's basically going to be like tiny swim goggles.
The form factor of the goggles.
Yeah. That's a big part of it too.
See, I think you'll be able to wear like sunglasses and they'll just project the image on your retina.
Right, but
contacts.
Like on your retina or contacts.
But it needs to be a
Back at Black
seal,
Mirror.
at least. I get
Sure.
it needs to be a seal, so you can't have the outside world.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right, but if it's being projected onto your retina, I bet they could or a contact lens, I bet they could do it in a way where you wouldn't see beyond it.
Maybe.
I just think that's what's fun to think about because we have that knowledge. Like we know where things could go.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of remain positive and optimistic about them.
Unless it all tanks and no one buys them.
Which is also a possibility
That makes
too.
me sad.
Do you guys think that's more of a possibility with the stuff that you actually have to actively play? Where you're walking around in a virtual environment and stuff. Do you think people actually want that, or
I think people want
is
to
like
mix.
the sitting down game?
I think it's like you look at it like the App Store, like marketplace. Like people want to mix this stuff. They want applications that are useful for work. They want games. They want entertainment stuff. Like I think it will be a mix. I don't know that you're going to see 10 million selling VR games. Certainly not in the first few years, because A, you need a broader marketplace, and B, it's a really tough sell. It's like hard to get people to wear something, let alone something that's so huge and expensive. So I think we'll see, but at the very least, I hope if these don't sell well, if they tank, whatever, I hope some like tiny company somewhere has just like a boutique business of just like doing VR stuff. Because I feel like that's you might not build a $10 billion industry on that, but as like a business, as a small business, I think it could survive.
Yeah, once people start building out their houses and placing furniture around their homes to accommodate these games. What's crazy to me is that even though it kind of seems like it's happened really fast, we're already starting to build out a separate room in CNET in the office just for virtual reality testing, which is basically just going to have to be an empty padded room. Yeah, which is nuts because we don't really have too much space here now, and so we're kind of talking inside baseball. But which room would work? Right. And that's insane. I never thought that we would actually have that in my time here.
If it takes off, like, it's reasonable to think, like, when you're buying a house, it's like, well, which house will be the VR room?
Right, yeah. And it would have to be a safe room, too, because a lot of the time you're just going to be walking around blind.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's a holodeck, essentially. It's a holodeck.
Yeah.
That's as close as we're going to get for a long time.
If it doesn't take... I wonder what will happen 2 years from now if Vive and or Oculus doesn't take off, because I think regardless, I do think PlayStation VR will do well because of the installation base, because so many people, because they have 35 million PlayStation 4s out there.
Yeah, but well is relative. Like, look at the Vita. So Vita had PlayStation branding. You'd think it'd do really well, and it didn't. And essentially, Sony's forgotten about it. Doesn't support it anymore for the most part. So, you know, who knows? It's hard to say. I hope that's not the case. I think it'd be great. It'll be really interesting.
I just want like my parents to try it out.
Totally.
You know?
I can't. Let alone. I realize Dylan is too young, but like I want to melt the brain of a little kid.
Okay.
Like how amazing would that be to watch a little kid doing VR for the first time?
What were they saying? No one under 12 should do it?
That's probably true.
Yeah, I think they said no one under 12 should wear VR. But I don't care. I'm still going to like put it on his face.
I played a video game with my niece for the very first time. It was amazing.
Before anybody writes in, I will not put it on my kid's face. I just want you to
I will. Next time I visit, I'm going to sneak it in
and
just strap it on Dylan's head.
That poor kid.
It's just like, I want my dad to like
totally
do it. And I want him to freak out because like for my entire life, I've tried to like get my dad to give the slightest bit of a shit about games.
Yeah.
And he just like doesn't.
No.
He just does not care.
I feel that.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, I guess with a lot of things I'm into, he just doesn't get it. But like, he's the one who bought me an Atari when I was 2.
Yeah.
So like,
that wasn't because he's into games though. That's because he wanted you to go away.
When I was 2, he was 30.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, he didn't just buy it because he thought it was a kid's toy. He definitely bought it for himself too.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like,
and he didn't buy it.
This is just like the future of like baby toys.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think like that.
Right.
So I just have this like, difficulty in understanding where
the
it fell
divide
off.
was.
Like what
my
happened.
dad played Arkanoid when we were growing up,
Right.
and just like totally lost interest.
Yeah, it's probably because the controllers started getting really difficult, and you had to
part of it.
do a bunch of other things at once. It wasn't just moving forward and back. You had to strafe.
But like,
That was when
I
it was
agree.
stopped for me. It just got too complicated.
Right, and I
And then
get
I sucked,
that.
so I didn't want to play it, and it wasn't fun.
Right, and you're not the only friend I have who is completely devoid of gaming.
Yeah.
And look, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You tried.
Yeah.
You tried PS2. We used to do those PS2 like things with you.
Which Conan now does.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh, it was like
It's a video
explained-
series where he
Yeah,
intentionally
very
sucks
popular.
at games.
Right.
That was
Clueless
our idea.
Gamer. Yeah, we came up with a lot of good ideas. So, so like I get that, but like I have friends too who are just like, yep, the second games went 3D, I stopped
Yeah.
because my brain couldn't handle it. So I don't know. Who knows? All right, what's up?
Can I talk to you guys a little bit about virtual reality audio?
Yeah,
I wanted
absolutely.
to, I don't know, do we have time? I wanted to
do.
do a little show and tell
Oh my
about this
God.
product that I haven't had a chance to write about on CNET yet. But
So you have it here?
I got a briefing for it. Yeah, I have it in my pocket right now.
Oh, I thought you were just
It's very much a Steve
Excited.
Jobs moment. It's right here in my
Whoa.
pocket. So, if you're not watching this, and no one is,
It looks like a mini glasses case.
yeah, it looks like a mini glasses case, but these are the Hear Active Listening Bluetooth earbuds.
Okay.
And so we've been seeing a lot of those pop up lately. I think, there's like the Braggy Dash, and Onkyo has their own Bluetooth earbuds. But these are different because they don't actually play music. And, but they look like it because they're just little
Whoa.
earbuds.
Whoa. So he opens it up and there's like all these LEDs.
That looks all. It looks like
Yeah.
out of Star Trek.
Little Star Trek thing. Those LEDs indicate batteries. But
Okay.
what's unique about the system is that these earbuds don't play music. They filter incoming sounds and allow you to basically equalize your world. They describe it as bionic ears, which I think is really great marketing. And so that's
So
the
they're
thing.
noise canceling.
They are noise canceling, but that's actually the least interesting thing that they do. And I want one of you guys to put these in now because there's an app that I can start up and demo it for you.
Do I wear both of them?
So you wear both of them. That one is the left one. And
So-
you just kind of stick it in and then twist up to engage the seal.
So they look like they're basically in-ear monitors.
So they're kind of like, they look like bigger earbuds, but they're completely wireless.
My
so
ears
there's
are
no
pretty
wire
waxy,
connecting
so
the
fair
right and
warning.
left. That's fine. I'll just throw those tips away.
Yeah, you just gotta burn those tips.
Okay.
Also, you're gross.
So they're
So, they connect to each other via Bluetooth, and then they connect to this phone by Bluetooth too, right? And then there's an app that you can run.
So he doesn't hear anything right
So
now?
you can hear.
Yes.
They're not engaged right now,
Right.
And
Engaged.
they basically have microphones in each earbud,
Okay.
and there's signal processing that happens to all the sounds that get filtered in. And so, look, I'll show you this app. This is one of the modes. This is the noise attenuation, right? So if you
Okay.
want to cancel noise, you just drag down this slider here,
now
and
you
it should
can't hear
be
us?
a lot quieter for
It
you.
is a lot. I can still hear them,
But yeah, you could still hear a little bit, but this
But
is
the room
reducing
noise
the
is-
level down 22 decibels.
So just to describe, Justin has an app that's basically like
a slider,
a slider for
thing.
decibels.
Right, for decibels.
And,
the-
he just brought it down from plus 6 decibels down to minus 22.
Minus 22.
And now Russ is.
But here, let me put you back up. And the cool thing about this, what I think is the most innovative, is that there's no latency. So look, I'm turning the volume up now, and it should have gotten really loud for you. But look at my mouth when I'm talking. No latency, right?
So it's instant.
So
You're
it's
saying
instant.
there's no
that
delay.
processing happens right away, and that's very important because
Russ's mouth is a gape.
It's really crazy.
it's interesting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
really
had the same reaction during a demo, and it's similar to what we were talking about before as the first time you use an Oculus, right? It's modifying your world, but you don't see that transaction happen.
right.
And so that's one of them here. I'll bring you down to 0 so we can EQ again. Now, if you really want to get into the, right?
I'm just
He's,
like
looking
it's
around.
interesting because if one of your earbuds is facing the source of the noise, also your voice sounds like my voice sounds super crazy right now.
Right.
But if one of your earbuds is facing the source of the noise, that's what's going to be picking up and increasing. So
Right.
this side is much quieter than normal, like your normal
Right.
ear would be. Your
Well, you're wearing
Yeah, it's
a
directional.
Yeah, and you're wearing a form of hearing aids.
Right.
like,
Basically, yeah, similar technology. And so this sort of gets down into the details of your live EQing, where you can adjust frequencies based on the exact hertz ratings.
So you could go super bassy or
Super bassy. And then there's presets as well. So their larger vision is that eventually they want you to, they want everybody to be wearing these all the time, right? Kind
Yes.
of like that movie Her, right?
Right, but okay.
And since people have different preferences for what they want to hear and don't hear, that's where you're really going to find the utility here. And so they described to me this use case where, say you're at a show, right? You're watching a live band play, and you're unfortunately positioned right in front of one of the speakers, so it's really loud, but you don't want to wear earplugs because that'll ruin the audio experience for
I
you.
guess.
So maybe you can turn down the bass. In the future, you'll be able to adjust the direction of where the sound is coming in so that you can virtually stand in the sweet spot of
crazy.
that venue. So here, let me boost you up a little bit, and you could do things like add a bass. You can even produce an echo too. So again, no latency. I wish we had video because Russ
my
is
God.
shaking his head. And
It's really
There's
just
echo? What is
yeah,
that
so there's
like?
echo. Here, turn that off. There's flange, which you can adjust, which makes my voice probably really warbly, and it kind of sounds like I'm drunk, or you're drunk or something.
yeah,
right?
that's bizarre.
So
Why
let me
would
turn
anybody
that.
want that?
Though, I mean, these are just kind of
Mess around
demos,
stuff,
right?
yeah.
And in the future, it'll be a lot different. And then here are the presets for things like an 8-track. They have partnerships with places, or I think they're working on partnerships with places like Carnegie Hall,
Okay.
to where they'll EQ per seat. So if you're sitting all the way to the right, they'll make it sound like you're in the
kinda
center,
cool.
left, center, etc.
How much of an amplification can you do?
It's only plus 6 decibels.
That's
right
crazy.
now.
So he just turned on a setting that makes it sound like we're in a giant
big,
hall.
big venue. That's Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
So that's not what the actual venue sounds like, obviously, but
course.
it's a reflection.
It's
cool.
it's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And one of the stories that the founder was talking to me about.
You want to try it?
I can't.
Yeah,
I feel
put
like
those
I
in.
need to try this. Did you get gross?
No,
Did-
they're not too bad.
All right. So wait, So this I have to reverse.
I don't know.
these. So wait, Justin, explain to me how this works. Right?
Mhm.
Like, do these both talk to each other?
So those connect to each other by Bluetooth,
Okay.
which is exactly the same technology as other Bluetooth earbuds. Except I think they do it a lot better because the sound doesn't cut out like other ones do.
Yeah.
And then there's a Bluetooth connection that comes here as well. So when I was getting the demo,
Okay.
the founder Noah Croft, I'm not sure. He was telling me this interesting story where he was using them in his office, and he boosted the sound to plus 6 decibels, right? And he could actually eavesdrop on the people that were talking and having conversations outside of his office, walking around,
It's
hanging
like
out in
Mission
their cubes and
Impossible
stuff.
spy shit.
So that's where the bionic ear part comes in.
Yeah.
Is perhaps you could boost that.
All
So
right, beam me
here,
up.
you're at 0 decibels right now.
Okay.
This is noise canceling. I probably got a lot quieter.
It's definitely the underwater
right?
effect for
yeah,
sure.
and then this is probably very loud for you because I just boosted it 6 decibels.
See, so it's not super loud.
It's not really, really loud, but I mean,
I
you
can
took
hear
off-
like the fans going on behind.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a little more sensitive than your
Yeah,
normal
what was
hearing,
crazy
but-
is I was wearing them while it was raining the other day, and I could hear every drop of rain
Yeah.
that was on my backpack, on my hat, everything.
It's interesting.
It's very,
you're
very
limitless.
cute.
yeah. Give me some of those wacky effects.
So here, this is another section that I didn't show you guys yet. This is tune out.
Oh.
So if you're standing next to a busy street, or you're
Or
in
a
a
terrible
subway
person.
station, or a bad, or a shitty person, they actually have that for a loud office. So I think that brings down the frequency of most common voices.
And it's giving me a little bit of white noise now.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a
Wow.
lot of people, they'll listen to music at their desk to drown out loud coworkers. Hopefully in the future you won't have to do that. Restaurants
Okay.
as well. So here's the restaurant setting, and that'll take crowd noises
Yeah.
and clanking of dishes and whatnot.
Do that big hall setting.
Yeah,
So,
like big hall stuff.
okay, yeah, you want Carnegie Hall. There you go. You probably hear
Wow.
like an
Is
echo.
that crazy?
It's crazy. It seems like we're all in completely separate.
Yeah, you can't even talk, right? It's kind of a
We're
vocal
shouting
disruptor.
across
It sounded
like
like we
100
were all in different
feet.
corners.
This
Yeah,
one is
exactly.
stratosphere, and so you'll probably hear like a woo,
Yeah, no,
like
this
you're
is
in
the
an
trip
airplane
balls,
hangar. Yeah, yeah, that's actually exactly how they described it to me. Is
Trip
maybe you
balls.
want to be in a different setting,
This
like a
is-
mindset when you're
There's
listening.
some gas loose in this room, man.
Yeah, so the echo.
Yeah.
To me, the most amazing part is really the lack of latency. It's just you kind of forget after a while when you're wearing them.
Well,
that
that's the
they're
most
in.
impressive engineering feat. They couldn't take me off Echo. Oh my god, they couldn't. They couldn't have released this with a delay.
Yeah.
Right. It wouldn't have
Like
worked.
that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
Is there a literal delay and we just can't hear it?
I'm not. There might be
Probably like
undetectable.
what was
what
that?
I don't know.
Was that this?
No, I don't know. We just heard a beep come from outside the podcast studio.
I wonder if. So how do these work? Do you think one talks to the other because they both can't bind to the Bluetooth?
Yeah. So I think that's how their version of Bluetooth that they're using works, is that you can have multiple
Oh,
connections.
you can. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
So-
very cool, Justin.
Yeah, that's
it's
really neat.
awesome, and it's the same thing with what we were talking about before with the virtual reality headsets. Is that this is cool for now, but when you see the application of how they're going to use the technology, that's going to be really cool. They partnered with South by Southwest and Coachella as well, upcoming. To sort of give concert goers a very unique experience.
Right.
And think about in the future, maybe they'll have artists actually tune, for the crowd themselves.
Right.
So like, I want my music to sound exactly like this with
Right.
these frequencies boosted, a little extra bass here and there. And you can really customize a sound like that. Or, musicians that are playing their own instruments, or think about how maybe you can use it to listen to music at home
Sure.
over speakers and then, boost your EQ that way.
I mean, how many times are you in a situation where you're like, man, I need to be able to hear something that I
Yeah.
just normally,
Yeah.
especially now with the kid, like I want to know when he's crying.
Totally.
And I know it's not like everyone's like, oh, you could use a monitor, but like sometimes that's not what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's really neat. All right, but let's cut to the chase. How much are these?
So they're $250.
All
That's
right.
actually not
And,
bad. I was expecting more.
I
Not
thought-
too bad.
yeah.
You can't listen to music through it, so keep that in mind. They're not a headphone.
You should
Why
be
can't
able
you?
to.
Well, that's because it's a lifestyle sort of thing, and so they're not really trying to. They're not trying to be a headphone that can also do these other
But
things.
how hard could it be?
It's
Right,
Just
well,
sending
so
data.
here's
yeah, they
what I
can.
think.
It's not that they don't have the technology.
Yeah.
I feel like they could, and maybe they're just not happy with because I feel
how
like
the quality or
I
whatever.
just feel like this is just for real world stuff. I don't
Right?
know,
Yeah.
maybe-
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah.
But maybe like the next model, it'll also be a Bluetooth. You would imagine that's crossed their minds.
Oh, it's absolutely. I think it was. Yeah, it's definitely
Like the first thing you asked them,
a
right?
decision. Yeah.
That's weird.
For sure. But
That's very
I'm
cool.
looking forward to a time in the future where we can maybe just isolate certain, maybe pair this with another set of headphones, and you guys can have a conversation in a loud bar,
Right.
or some other venue, and hear as if they're whispering in your ear.
Yeah, that's super cool.
When were these guys here?
They were here a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so definitely go and check them out. It's the company's called Doppler Labs, and the device itself is called Hear, HEAR.
HERE.
HERE.
I'm sorry, HERE.
Yeah.
It's not confusing at all.
No.
I'll link to that in the show notes. Finally, before we say goodbye, I saw this headline and I just wanted to touch on this just for a second because it's in the same kind of vein.
Yeah.
High definition vinyl.
HD vinyl was
So-
announced yesterday for
Do
music
you think
fans.
Steve Guttenberg's freaking wants to kill somebody?
No, actually, I feel like he might like it for certain applications. So yesterday, this was announced that HD vinyl was patented, by some country in Europe. Oh no, it was Austria. Yeah, Rebeat Digital filed a patent for HD vinyl, and their justification for it is that you can forego the process of lacquering and making an acetate of a vinyl before you produce it. It's a very complicated process to produce vinyl records.
Yeah.
And this new process they've patented uses 3D based topographical mapping and a laser to cut the grooves. So a lot of times you'll have
why did it take this
imperfections.
long? I feel like this is an obvious
because they overshot it and just went full digital.
Yeah, that's the thing. They were like, why are we trying to innovate on this physical format?
Sure.
And that's the ironic part too, and I'm sure that's what Steve will bring up if you guys talk to him about it, is that the majority of music right now is recorded digitally. So it doesn't really matter if you're doing that.
Right, like
analog
what's the point?
Anyway. Right, yeah, it's kind of going backwards. It's like hooking up a turntable to a Sonos system or something.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're saying imagine a record that has 30% more capacity and 30% greater volume.
That's legitimate. I do think that they'll be able to fit more on there and absolutely produce vinyl faster, which is a huge speed bump right now for the industry. Like Record Store Day just happened, and I know a lot of stores and distributors hate that day because it pushes the rest of their release schedule back because they just can't push out the amount of supply.
Yeah, quick enough. Yeah.
So if they can do it faster, that might be good for the entire industry.
And with double the fidelity, that'd be cool.
And it's backwards compatible, they're claiming, so you hopefully won't have to invest in a new turntable if you want to buy it.
So that's like forward compatible.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, forward compatible.
That's weird.
I don't know. It could be another one of those gimmicks. I know that HD is definitely a term that gets thrown around, especially these days, with claims of higher quality, and especially audio in general. You have to be worried about stuff like this that makes claims of having percentages of better fidelity, because a lot of that stuff is just subjective.
Yeah,
it's all marketing
and then,
nonsense.
Of course, dependent on the rest of your equipment too.
Yeah.
So it could potentially sound better, but there's other benefits too.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. Well, it's been great, dude.
Yeah,
good stuff, buddy.
We did good work today.
Yeah, it was a fun episode.
I think we covered all
everything.
The bases,
all the weird stuff.
A lot of weird stuff, and that's where I want to keep it weird here.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do.
Keep 404 weird.
Keep it. Leave us a voicemail, 866-404-CNET. Hit us up on email if you want to send us a note, the404@cnet.com. We are back here next week with a new show.
I'm not here.
You're not going to be here, so I'm going to figure that out, and I will make that happen.
Where are you going?
Going to Austin, Texas for my very first time.
Oh, you doing South by Southwest?
No, just a little vacation.
It'll be over by then.
Yeah.
The music stuff isn't going on then?
God, I hope not. I intentionally wanted to avoid some of it.
Okay, yeah.
Go to Rainy Street.
Okay.
Go to, I'll give you a couple good barbecue places.
Yeah.
Salt Lick is really good.
Yeah, I got some recommendations on Twitter as well.
Go to Lake Travis.
Okay.
And don't tell anyone you're Jewish. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You can.
Jews are welcome there. It's the only place in Texas.
So real quick before we say goodbye, I want to ask you and maybe our listening audience, and perhaps I should have front-loaded it because who knows who's still sticking around listening to the end of the podcast, but my birthday's coming up next week.
Oh, okay.
And some the people who are close to me I never have anything to tell anybody what I want.
Yeah.
I am the worst person to have to buy a gift for because I'm so lame.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone agrees, Jeff. The worst.
You're very lame. Yes.
Very terrible.
Yes.
What would you, if you had to buy me something? What would you buy me? What should I ask for? What should I get?
I mean, if you don't care about how it seems, Amazon gift card is like the best thing ever.
Oh,
boring.
Come on.
It is.
Jesus,
boring.
But that's the problem is at least for me, I have the same problem that you do, which is to say I don't know what I want right now, but 2 weeks from now, I might want a new whatever.
Give me if that's what you're going to do, give me a lottery ticket.
The problem with buying gifts for people and receiving gifts is that we can get all the stuff that we want. So what you should be asking for is experiences, right? Like traveling.
Okay, so that's good.
Or so Peony's birthday was in December, and I got her a gift card for one of those sensory deprivation chambers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you want to ask for that, but if you're looking for something to do, then that's definitely an option.
Hunting.
I've always wanted to do that. Have you guys thought about that before?
I've thought about doing it, but it seems like it'd be too creepy for me.
It's torturous,
right? They say that
waterboarded.
They say that you have all kinds of mental revelations.
You don't drown, Jeff.
I know.
No, you're not going to drown. That's the point. Is that it's filled with so much Epsom salt that you literally float.
Yeah. There was a whole movie about sensory deprivation.
Yeah,
it was called
I don't know, creepy
No, it's
water
called that.
tank.
It's
Death in
called,
space.
it's called silence.
But that's the thing is when you have that silence, they say that you can, you'll have all these crazy, epiphanies about your life.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll open up memories that you've previously tried to.
There's a reason I've
that
repressed
scares
those.
me. Yeah, like I have a lot of stuff
I'll get you
lurking
some
under the
magic
surface.
mushrooms.
There's a reason they're locked in a
Yeah.
freaking steamer trunk.
We've worked
with no
very
key.
hard to push those down.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if you don't unearth those.
No, but or the other thing you should ask for is maybe like a 23andMe analysis. That would be awesome.
I don't know what that is.
So I know I have a disposition for something awful when I'm.
Yeah, so you'll die in 5 years.
Yeah, great.
Do you want to know that on your birthday?
Ugh.
You don't know what 23andMe is?
No.
It's that like DNA testing thing where
Oh,
they tell
pass.
you about your
Yeah.
propensity for
dude.
drugs and things
No,
like
thank
that.
you.
It's like, oh, the odds are you're going to be addicted to heroin.
Yeah,
What a
that's what
gift.
Peony said. Peony's basically said, never try heroin because your body will love it.
Yeah, I think that
you'll
comes
have a great experience, but don't do it because you won't stop.
I'm pretty sure you could generalize that with everybody.
Yeah, that
Like,
seems
oh,
like a
Yeah,
pretty
some love it more than others. The problem is stopping, right? I think that's her issue.
I guess so. No, it's also never starting to. Let's not endorse even
not
once
even
for that.
once. Well, I don't know. Maybe people can like tweet you ideas for stuff that
guess.
you want.
Yeah, I like the experiences. Ideas or like music tickets or whatever theater
Yeah.
if you're into that. Yeah, that seems like a good thing. You're right, because physical things, like I have everything I
Yeah.
want.
Right,
more
that's the
action
thing. You have
figures.
everything you want. Even that stuff is like buyable. Like it's the one-time things, like a piece of art or
Right,
something where
yeah.
it's like you're not going to get this.
Something you
anywhere
wouldn't buy
else.
yourself. Yeah.
I want something irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Is that
Another child.
whoa? Relax. Let's get the one I have now up and walking
Okay,
around.
sounds good.
All right, that'll do it. You heard where to contact us. Follow us on Twitter. And like I said, we're back next week. Big thanks to Justin Yu. I'm going to link to these earbuds. What are they really called?
That's what they're called.
Earbuds?
Good branding.
Earbuds.
Sort of.
Earbuds.
Synonym.
Okay. Very cool. Until next time, I'm Jeff Bakalar.
I'm Russ Frushtick.
And I'm Justin Yu.
This has been the 404 Show, High Tech Low Brow. Thank you so much for sticking around. We'll see you next time.